Hey everybody, I'm making a series of videos for YouTube for my 8th grade and my 7th grade classes in regards to some of the stuff that we've already covered and some of the stuff that we're going to miss to help make sure we get all the standards covered and to make sure that this is a good reminder for people of things that we've already covered throughout the year. Now this chapter we have already covered. This is chapter 1, the very first chapter that we get into in history, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, the standard that we're going to be talking about in this is number 1, explain how artifacts and other archaeological findings provide evidence of the nature and movement of prehistoric groups of people. And the objectives for this is going to be identify what history is, examine culture and the role that it plays, and discuss archaeology and how remains help us to understand the past. And so those will be the 3 things we're going to be talking about. Now, the first thing is, what is history? What exactly is history? The second that we're going to cover is what is culture and what role does it play in history? And then finally, what is archaeology? Number 1, what is history? History is the study of people and the events that affect people. Now, I had a professor at Athens State that made it very clear in my historiography class that history is all about people. We talk about events, we talk about things that happen. For example, September 11th, 2001, we talk about the World Trade Center falling and the planes being crashed into it. But we talk about them because the people that were affected by that, the people that flew the planes into the World Trade Center, the people that were in the World Trade Center, people who lost loved ones on that day. That's the reason why it makes it history. It doesn't make history because buildings fell. It made history because it devastated and it affected not just the lives of the people directly involved, but all Americans during that time. So that's what history is. What constitutes as history? And so I did a little play on this. If a tree falls in the woods with no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? And I've added a little twist on this. If a tree falls in the woods with no one around to hear it, does it make history? And the answer to that is, it depends on if it affects people. There are a number of trees that fall on a daily basis that's never going to affect anybody, out in the middle of nowhere that no one's ever going to see. They're going to rot and decay, and they're just going to disappear. But if that tree falls on your house, if that tree falls on your car, if you are a hunter and you have to climb over that tree to go to where you go next, it's affected you a little bit that day. And so that's the idea. It only makes history if it affects people. What is culture? Culture is the knowledge, beliefs, customs, and values of a group of people. How do people live their lives? What did they believe in? What do they stand for? All these things are culture. The religious beliefs that you may or may not hold, the way you dress, the kind of food you eat, the type of celebrations you have, things like that. That's part of your culture. And a lot of times people are the culture that they are a part of may be part of their ethnicity. It may be where they live. Like, for example, here in the South, we really get into college football. That's something that's a really big deal here in the South. And so because of that, you see even when Kay Ivey made the stay-at-home order, that she said, look, if you want football this fall, you need to be staying at home. That's a part of our culture. Most states ain't saying that, but it's a big part of our culture, so that's important to us. Historians look at groups' culture to identify information about that group. What would our culture be if historians thought to look at us? Now, the importance of a culture is that historians look at this to determine what people may or may not have been like. Now, it's not always accurate. If your sister leaves something, say your sister plays softball and you don't, and she leaves her softball equipment in your bedroom, and then we just take a snapshot of your bedroom, and later down the road, historians are looking at it to identify what you were like. So they'll say, oh, well, this person must have played softball. That's not accurate, but the reason why is because it was there. So sometimes we get it wrong as historians, but for the most part, it helps us to understand how people live. If there was pottery in an area, we know that people probably made pottery. If there was, certain religious artifacts, we know that that's how they lived their lives. and that's how we identify a part of that person's culture. So what would ours be? Now, 200 years from now, cell phones are probably going to be a thing in the past. They'll have some kind of crazy high-tech thing we can't even think of. Like you just think of a number and it calls it or whatever. And so one day people will be finding remains of these things and saying, oh, wow, look, they used to actually hold this box up to their head and talk on it. They used to actually play games that was on this screen, and it's something that to us it's normal, but to them it's going to be history, and they're going to look at it and identify what kind of people we were like. You just see here's a image of what this is an image of the culture. What culture is. You have the attitudes, beliefs, language, customs, rituals, behavior, faith and religion, food, art, drama, music. All these things are a part of culture. The beliefs someone has, the language that someone speaks, their customs, their rituals, their behaviors, all these things are a part of culture and make culture up. Now, I want to talk just for a few minutes about archaeology today. Archaeology is important because it's the study of the past based on what people left behind. This is how we determine that culture, like I said. These things can include jewelry, dishes, weapons, games, and more. Anything that a group of people would have used during this time that they walked the earth could be a find in an archaeological dig. They use these to determine more information about the group of people they're studying. So the idea behind it is archaeology is they find things. Whenever I was a kid, we had a sandbox. Me and my brother did. We had a sandbox at our house. It was an old tractor tire that was used to have sand in it. We had toys and everything. Well, to this day, you can still go back to where that tractor tire was located and find little Hot Wheels cars and things that we played with in that sandbox. And so this is what archaeology does. You look at it and say, oh, these boys must have played with Hot Wheels cars. They must have played with this because these are things that we're finding here. Things that get dropped on the ground and wind up getting covered in dirt, and thousands of years later, do an archaeological dig, much like in this picture right here, and find some of these things. That's the kind of idea behind archaeology, is the things that have been buried, things that were used at one point, that are at the location, are used to determine how groups of people lived, how groups of people thought, what type of religion they had, what kind of traditions that they did, what kind of celebrations, different things like that. I've been watching a good special on Disney Plus about King Tutankhamun, King Tut. It explains a little bit about some of the things that's found with him, and it's cool to kind of see about some of these things that were important to these people, and the reasons why that we're studying them, and we're trying to figure out what they were like, just based on things they left behind. And that's the idea behind it. So that's all for this video. I just want to leave you with this thought. Look around you at history, examine this, realize that we're living in history now with the coronavirus, everything that's happening. Every day we're making history. You watch the president's press conference, every day it's making history. And we are doing things every single day, not just with the coronavirus. That's a big one right now. But, with the world economy right now, the world economy is taking a hit because of the coronavirus. But what about your own history? What about the things that's happening in your life right now? Something big that's going on with you. Things that one day you're going to tell your kids and grandkids about. That's history. So I encourage you to look at history in your everyday life. Examine. It ain't got to be Gettysburg. It doesn't have to be ancient Egypt, ancient Rome. It can be your own family's history. And that's something that's really important, that we look around and we start looking at things from a historical mindset, knowing that we are making history every day. So, with that being said, thank you for watching, and stay tuned to the rest of the videos to learn more things, cover more things we ever talked about, and I'll hope to see you soon.